You see these blooms throughout Zone 9A and Zone 9B are definitely the true indicators that spring is here. One of my favorites are verbena. I just can't get enough of verbena. I love the white verbena. I love this lavender verbena. One of the most reliable ones here in Zone 9A and Zone 9B has to be this purple homestead verbena. It is such a reliable spring bloomer. I just can't say enough about it, but it is so easy to grow. It's basically evergreen. It's not picky, drought tolerant once it's established, and it's very easy to propagate and let spread around the garden. It has a tendency to kind of fade away during the heat of the summer, but right when it starts to cool off, it will just reemerge and kind of start spreading out again and establishing itself and looking fresh and new. And before spring even is officially here, it starts setting buds and popping with color. And there are some other varieties that are considered annual verbenas that will still handle most winters here in Zone 9A and Zone 9B, but they're not nearly as reliable as the homestead versions. If you are shopping for a verbena and you want to know that you're getting one that is the most reliable to return, make sure that you look for a variety that says homestead. And I do think that they come in a pink and a purple now. But any verbena, I'm a fan of any verbena because they are one of the first spring colors to emerge, regardless if it's the perennial or the annual. Most of the hot pink ones and white ones are the most durable of all the verbenas. This is two different verbena plants that I planted super close together, and I wasn't sure if this one right here would overwinter because this is not the homestead variety right here, but this one is. And I'm not sure if maybe it cross-pollinated because I do see like a mixture of petals. I'm not sure because I haven't been growing this variety with the white centers for very long, that light pink, but I have been growing this hot pink one for a long time, and I don't know if it crossbred. I really don't know. It's definitely something you want in your garden if you have the space for it. I mean, just look from this far away how that hot pink is popping, and right around here is this lavender colored verbena. Look at how pretty those flowers are. I cannot even describe how bright and beautiful they are. It almost looks like they're glowing. They're just so pretty. But I love how verbena grows. I love how it hugs the ground. I love how well it keeps weeds out, and I love how easy it is. It's out these colors for several months in the spring. So if you don't have verbena in your garden, it is a sure winner. This is Loropetalum, and it is one of the first bloomers of spring, and I like to use it as one of the first indicators that spring is here because when it blooms, it's usually around late February to March, and it's a fantastic evergreen that I grow for that purpose, and the foliage color, those blooms are just a plus. This bush started putting out blooms and had itself covered around the end of February, and now here is the end of March, and there's just a few sporadic blooms left here and there inside the plant. But either way, you get a good 4 to 6 weeks of those little hot pink pom-poms on this plant, and I just love it. This plant right here is so pretty. Mecardonia, yellow magic carpet. This is a March bloomer, but it will bloom periodically throughout the year. But again, it's one of those plants that I feel like puts on its biggest show early spring. And another fantastic thing about this is it's an evergreen. So having an evergreen, low-growing, mounding, or tight crawling plant or creeping plant like this that puts out this many flowers, it's just one of the best. And another cool thing about it is it can tolerate shade. Now, there is a difference in the bloom intensity when it's in shade. So I would say this one gets maybe 4 to 5 hours of sun. But look at it in this one. Look how pretty. It's just a super neat, low-growing, creeping, evergreen ground cover. And it fills in very nice. It doesn't have any invasive tendencies, at least not that I've seen here in Zone 9A or 9B. I have planted it basically along edges in certain gardens where there's not really many other things that will grow because of the level of shade. It is really super easy to propagate, and I believe I saw it right now for sale at Houston Garden Center. So it's definitely something, if you live by Houston Garden Center, you'd want to run over there now and get this plant, because one of these plants, if you take care of it, you can divide it and use it for years. You see how it just kind of is crawling out from this bed into this rock. This area right here can be scooped up and transplanted to a completely different area of the yard or garden. So it's just a very nice little creeper, and of course the flowers don't hurt. But when it's not in bloom, I feel like it has like a little mossy look to it. So that's another reason why I love it. And I've used it all along this dry creek bed right here because it has that mossy look. But the way that this plant behaves makes it a must-have. And this is the Mecardonia when it's in bloom. Super, super pretty. Most of the year though, it looks just like the green, but this is still a very beautiful plant. And it's actually kind of, it's not as perky right now because it just got watered. Irises are coming into bloom in March. This one is about to open, but there's a bunch of other ones opening all around the gardens. Here's some dwarf white irises that are coming into bloom. Look at these irises. They are huge compared to my hand, that is. But they're just the brightest blue here, blooming in March. That just comes back faithfully every year. This foliage all disappears in the summertime, and then it starts emerging over winter. And then these are right here. These irises are one of the first pops of color to introduce the spring season. Salvia, blue salvia and white salvia are both filling out with blooms right now, budding out with blooms. Usually these start filling in the middle of April, but our last freeze date was in the middle of February, so I think everything is running a little bit further ahead of schedule than normal. Here is white salvia coming into bloom right here, just like the blue ones. Super pretty. This plant, this particular plant right here, is about 3 years old, very mature. This one is really pretty, so that's another thing. This one's blooming at the same exact rate as the blue salvia on the other side of the yard. So this plant right here is called Ajuga. There's a million different types of Ajugas out there. This one is called Black Scallop. It's one of my favorites. It's such a dark color, and I love the way it contrasts with this yellow shrub, but that's not what today's video is about. Today's video is about the first bloomers to announce that spring is here, and Ajuga is one of them. I started seeing blooms on Ajuga in February of this year, and they're still going. I have Ajuga in almost every garden that I have, at least some type of Ajuga, and all of them are putting out blooms right now, and they have been for at least the past 6 weeks or so. But if you don't grow this plant, it's definitely worth growing. It's hardy down to about 15 or 10 degrees or so. So it's basically an evergreen in our region unless we have a really extreme winter. But I just love the color and the way that this plant spreads. It's a great ground cover for keeping weeds out as well. This is Stonecrop, and it's in bloom right now, but honestly, I don't even care about these blooms. When I see the blooms come, I like to cut them off. I mean, it's nice. If you don't have anything else blooming in your garden and you love this pop of yellow, go ahead. But I kind of don't like the way they flop over. But the other reason, the main reason why I like to remove the blooms is because the energy, if you cut off all these blooms, the energy that the plant is putting into them will be spent spreading this plant out. And it could at least triple its size within the next 2 months if you don't let it bloom. So that's just something to consider if you are trying to get your Stonecrop to spread out, and if you care more about having more of Stonecrop rather than these blooms, go snip these blooms off and let the plant do its thing, and you will be much happier with your Stonecrop supply. Yarrow. This white yarrow right here, this one is usually a good indicator that spring is on its way or here already. There are different types of yarrow. The one specifically that I am showing in this video is white yarrow. on here, and then as it makes new growth, it'll keep making more, like on every other stem, it looks like. See, here's a stem, and then it put out the flower here in the middle. Same here, and all. For each stem, it puts out this little flower bud, and I love it. I don't know how long it blooms for, but it makes these prettiest ballerina pink flowers that resemble like a miniature wisteria. Never seen it in any other garden. It grows pretty happily here. Figured out how to propagate it last year, so I'm definitely going to be doing more of that, but I wanted to share. They start putting out buds. I want to say I started noticing buds the beginning of March, but this right here, it's a beautiful perennial. It's pretty rare. I don't think I've ever seen it for sale anywhere. Hope you enjoyed this edition and update of what's blooming right now in March and April. And I will probably do another update towards the end of April so you can see more of these plants that open, such as these asters and stuff like that. So if you're interested in seeing how these plants fill out over the next month and some of the earliest spring bloomers here in Zone 9A and Zone 9B. And I hope to see you again next time on Garden Beauty.